And with that, I would like to introduce Norbert Kremer, who will be finishing us off before lunch on how to run a successful certification workshop study group.
Hello, everybody. Good to see you all. I want to talk today about some certification workshop study groups that we ran last summer, and in general about the program that sponsors these programs and several other collaborators that we have in our local region in the Northeast. So, yeah, I want to talk to you about this Road to Google Developer Certification Program. This is on the bottom of the page. If you go to your Community Leads platform, I hope all of you know where that is. You should be able to find that relatively. All the leads should be aware of this CLP. If you're not, come find me and I'll point it out to you. On the bottom of that, there's the Road to Google Developer Certification Program. This is a wonderful program. It's been running for a few years. I want to promote it because it occasionally has, the interest in it has flagged a little bit, I think, and I want to make sure that we have steady interest and continue the ongoing nature of this program. I think it's really excellent. Right now, there are available on the left side. You have the available certification. So the study groups map to the Google certifications, obviously. So I think there's 11 now. Eugene, can you help me out here? There's 11, right? And so there's Associate Cloud Engineer on the left, and then all of the pro-level certifications that you can get. So there are starter slides for each of these learning paths, as I call them. And so if you're an organizer and you want to run one of these study groups, you can get a starter kit. It was announced this morning earlier that there are new materials for some of the ones on the left, but not all. So for example, I love the database engineer track. I'm waiting, hopefully there will be new materials for that learning path. On the bottom right, I've pointed out Associate Data Practitioner. We don't have any starting materials yet for that. You could do one yourself. You could make your own starting kit. It's not that hard. You could do it yourself, but I'm just saying there aren't any materials now. And also for Workspace Admin, which is a new certification. It used to be pro level. It's now became associate level. There's no materials for that one as well. So the participants, if you form a study group, obviously you get to study as a group, and that's a big benefit. So you get encouragement, you get feedback, you get to ask questions of each other. You get Skills Boost access, which is somewhat available now anyway. You can get 35 credits a month now through the Innovator program, which most of you know about. But if you join one of those study groups, you get unlimited free access for all the labs that you want to run. And it's all you can eat. And you get support, obviously, from Quick Labs for that. You get Slack. We ran a Slack channel. We just use a free version of Slack for our local groups. That works really well. You get leadership from people like me and other experts who either have these certifications or they're working on them or definitely familiar with Google Cloud, and so you can ask questions. You know, it's like having an instructor that you can ask questions. And then also exam vouchers sometimes are available, and swag sometimes, depending on what we have available. In the Northeast, I want to put a plug for Northeast GDGs and my colleagues and collaborators in the Northeast. We have just been an educational powerhouse. We have run 6 of these programs in recent years between GDG Cloud Boston and GDG Lawrence. I probably have missed a couple, and I won't name all the people who've helped run them. I'll give a later slide, I mentioned the names, but it's been a collaborative effort. We plan to do, so we've been running about 1 a year. Lawrence has been doing about 1 per year. I'm probably missing out a few others that are not mentioned here, but the idea is that we like this program. We participate heavily. So I do want to make the point, campaigns drive membership. This is just our local chapter at GDG Cloud Boston. You see on the left, when I joined, 7 years ago, we had maybe 100, 150 members. We were getting like 10 to 15 people at each meeting. And it was, to me, it wasn't a really good, didn't feel high energy. Our meetings were not high energy. And they were not good networking events. So you only have 10 people and you already know 6 of them. It's not a great way for networking. So the campaigns drive membership. I can't stress that enough. So I'm not saying all of these are due to our efforts through this certification study groups. However, you can see on the really high slope periods on the curve coincide with when we were running our workshops. So I'm not saying it's a causal connection, but it's definitely helping. And we're also doing our other organizers doing other events also. So it's not just, it's hard to tease out exactly what is caused by this, but DevFest drives new members coming to your group. International Women's Day events and TechMaker events drive new membership to your groups. And these study groups definitely attract new people who would not otherwise be coming to your groups. So it's a really powerful mechanism for doing that. We're up to 1,800 now, which is a fantastic number for us. Okay, how to run this successfully. The message here, folks, is collaboration. You got to collaborate. This is the whole key to it. So build a team, find co-hosting chapter. The workshops I ran last summer, my co-host was Jessica Rudd from GDG Atlanta. Just having another co-host there at every session, she actually led one of the sessions entirely because I was not available for 1 week. We ran our program over 12 weeks instead of 6 weeks. That's an option that you have. You can insert, stretch it out so that people have more time. It's a really good idea, especially for database is very technical. The machine learning engineer path is also very difficult. Most people cannot do or have difficulty doing the 6-week program the way it's laid out in the slides that are provided to you. You can add your own materials. You can have an office hour or an AMA session in between to give people a little more time. And that's what we did. Find co-presenters and guest speakers, especially GDEs. This was an idea I got from Jessica, actually. And we had 2 GDGs help us. Glenn Yu helped us, and also Walter Lee. They were both very inspirational speakers, and I learned from them as well. And so and the other thing is, share the work among people. You do not have to be, I think I make this point coming up here. Understand your role here. This is my next point. You're a facilitator, not a trainer, okay? You do not have in the 1 hour or 2 hours per session, you're not going through Skills Boost and training people. If people are going to succeed through the learning path, they're going to have to do most of that work on their own time. So your meetings are about facilitating, encouraging, answering questions, building a community. And that means that you're a facilitator, not the trainer. So you don't actually have to know everything. You don't have to have the certification already that you're leading the study group for. However, in my case, I did. So I felt more comfortable getting that cert first. I went through all the Skills Boost myself. I had done every lab so that when people ask questions, I could answer them right away. That's not really required, though. It shouldn't inhibit you from starting a study group if you're saying, well, I don't have that cert yet. It's not essentially required. I think it's great if you can go along with your group and maybe take the exam with them at the end. That's a really fantastic way to do it. But get help from, ask me, I'll help you. You will help you. Find a co-host. We had Linda Kovacs helped us a lot from her group. She does a lot of co-hosting. And I think Fresno joined us for a time as well, a few sessions. So Bevy and YouTube are your friends here. Bevy works really well in this setting because you're only running one session. You're not trying to do a multi-room arrangement, which gets very complicated in Bevy. This is just a straightforward virtual meeting. I think most of us have run them. It works great. You can record it and then grab that and put it on YouTube. I suggest that you do not take the raw video from Bevy and post it directly to YouTube. I would suggest that you do some editing, some cleanup, some post-production editing, if you will. Again, if you need questions about that, find me. I'm not a super expert, but I can definitely help you do some really basic editing that will make your video look a lot better than it would otherwise. This is some screenshots from, we put 12 sessions on YouTube. They're actually all, it's interesting. Let me back up to the YouTube, although YouTube videos get highly ranked in Google searches, it still does not lead to a lot of engagement. My videos had 1,500 views, but the sum total of all of that was only maybe an hour of view time. So a lot of people are curious, they click on, they watch for a few seconds or a minute, and then they drop off of the YouTube. And that's a little disappointing. And I'll come back to that in a moment. But other tips are, I did all my events virtually. We've also run them in an office setting, which actually works, I think, a little better, but I just wasn't able to get the venues lined up for me last summer, so I just decided to do everything virtually. It was under my control, and it just worked out well for me. As I mentioned, Google provides slides for 6 sessions. Usually it's a 6-week program as they designed it. You can also stretch it out to 12 weeks. I recommend that. Roman, who was here earlier this morning, has something called Badge Tracker. And I also have an attendance tracker, which is a BigQuery report that shows you who attended over 12 weeks, who went to each session, and what they did in total and whatever. So I'm a database person, so I had to make a BigQuery report out of this. It's great if you can bring in as much real-world experience as you can. Real-world examples are great. As I said, if you're not already certified in this area, you can go study along with your group and learn with them. But the more you can bring in from your work experience, the better. And I did perhaps too much of that. I maybe went overboard on some of mine, but I brought a lot of database theory and knowledge to mine that is material that you would not get from Skills Boost. So that's what I did. A little bit of room for improvement, mostly on our side and a little bit on Google's side as well. Advertise early. We had people, I don't know, maybe others can mention in the question session, my experience was, we had people like 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks in saying, can you go back and start from the beginning because I just learned about this. I said, well, no, we can't do that. And then at the very end, people said, when are you running it again? Because I missed the whole thing. I said, well, this is a lot of work. We're doing it for free. We're not paid. We won't be doing this again in the next few months. I can tell you that. Maybe next year, maybe later, but it won't be happening on a recurring basis at your convenience. So you've got to advertise more, I think, is something we missed. Engagement after the program was low. I found we had some vouchers, a couple of people took exams, a couple of people passed exams and got certified as a result of our program. So yay for us, big win. But majority of people have not been responsive afterwards. If I send out emails afterwards, I don't hear back from people. I'm a little surprised to hear that. And also even during the sessions, it's really mostly just a couple people seem highly engaged, and a lot of people are just either listening in or casually listening. And that's not something, especially in a virtual setting, that you can really control. We also cannot dictate how much time you spend on Skills Boost. I mean, it's entirely up to the participants what they want to do and what they want to get out of it. The most successful ones who got certified attended every session and did the majority, 70, 80% of the labs in Skills Boost. So if you make the commitment, you will get certified. I mentioned already about YouTube. The engagement seems to be pretty low. I guess that's okay. I mean, I didn't know ahead of time. I just thought I'd put them out there. They're still out there. I'm proud of them. Some of them are good. Some of them are not quite as good, but they're okay. But they're all out there. People can look at them, but it doesn't happen spontaneously. The one point I mentioned for Google, and Naveen mentioned earlier, that some of the resources that were available years ago may not be available today, so this is concerning the vouchers. We sometimes are able to get exam vouchers before, and I'm not sure if we can get them now in the future. And I just think the policy could be a little more clear, or whatever the guideline is. And so when I asked for vouchers, I was initially told, no, we don't have them anymore. And then later I was able to get some anyway. So, and sometimes vouchers, I think the vouchers are actually becoming less of an issue because there's a program now where you can get half off anyway, and there are other ways to get the exam covered, and I think the trend is more towards free vouchers. So that's all I have. I don't know if we have any time for questions at all. I know lunch is impending. So who's next, actually? Who do I hand off to? Thank you so much. Oh. There's a microphone in the middle. Thank you. Good point.
Thank you so much. I have one quick question.
Sure.
Can we do, can GDGs alone? Because there is a GDG cloud next to my area too, but I wanted to make sure that can we also do it separately? Is that okay? Or can we, how do we collaborate? Can we do it alone, or can we also collaborate with online if it is with other?
So we ran ours. So we're a cloud focused group. But your question is about.
Yeah,
you're not cloud focused.
Yes, I'm not cloud focused.
But
I'm just GDG.
I don't think that matters at all.
Okay.
I think you can.
Thank you.
If you find a group that, you have to be interested in the material yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of what do people want to get certified on primarily is, actually machine learning engineer is the most popular one now. Mm-hmm. It's also the most difficult. Mm-hmm. And I do recommend, personally, I recommend starting with another certification first before taking on machine learning engineer.
So is there any online that you're going to be doing that we can also collaborate this year?
So I'm not there on the RGDC program. There's a link that lists some of the ongoing ones. It's a little bit hard to find out. I think it might be geolocated to your browser, so you may not see like all of the ones. But so in general, any GDG can co-host with any other. So if you take leadership and say, I want to run this learning path, you can then find co-hosts. Likewise, anybody in a virtual session, they can join from anywhere in the world. I don't even know where my people were from in many cases, right?
True, because a lot of my community is students, and I get these questions a lot more.
Yeah.
How we get the foundational certification and things like that. So that's why I asked.
So on the pro level one, cloud architect and data engineer are the fundamental ones. Those are what I would recommend for preparation to get into machine learning. If you're not familiar with cloud and you're not familiar with machine learning, and maybe you're a student, if you go right to MLE, it's going to be very challenging. I know people who have done it. It can be done.
Yeah.
I actually recommend ADP, Associate Data Practitioner, is a really good foundation for PMLE, in my opinion. This is not a Google policy, it's my opinion. But
thank you. Thanks a lot.
that's how I see it. Sure thing. One more? One more question?
Just one more question. I was just curious, because last year our group ran Associate Cloud Engineer class. We ran it over 12 weeks because a lot of people had,
Right.
busy schedules and lives.
Right.
We're trying to keep people engaged. We found that the best thing we could do was to try and run quizzes on exam questions and help them just start to dig into things more critically. What were some of the things that you did online that you found effective with your classes, your students?
Yeah, so we did similar to you, and this was, again, Jessica Rudd's idea, that we ran Slidos. We created Slidos for some of the exam questions that Google provided us. And so these are the ones that are publicly available, right? So we just took those and copied them into Slido, and then the answers are not provided. So it was interesting, sometimes the GDEs actually disagreed on what the right answer was. So we would use that as a learning, actually, and say, well, we're pretty sure it's this answer. We're not, we could see the point for a different answer being made. So, and that actually helps you figure out how the exam questions are. It helps to know how the exam questions are built, actually. And often it's discriminating two different ideas, or there's usually, if there's 4 choices, it's often 2 choices that are strong contenders, and then the 2 others are kind of like distractors, if I will. And so if you understand how the questions are built, it can help boost your performance on the exam a little bit. But we don't give like exam dumps or anything like that. We don't encourage memorizing anything. So we want people to go through, do the work of going through Skills Boost, doing the labs. We help them with the labs, and that's where most of the learning is going to come from. So,
Thank you.
thank you. One more? One?
So you mentioned the vouchers, and actually for some people that's even a barrier to cough up the $100 for a voucher. But I would go a little backwards, and I'm thinking about the cloud skills credits. And I've been through so many of these RGDCs that I can't remember that with yours. Was it the new system where you get only some credits per session, or do you get put into that credit pool?
No, when I was running, and I believe this is the case still, there's a credit pool that has like maybe 1,000 credits or more, and all of your participants are drawing from that pool. And I was rather proud, actually, when the pool ran out and had to be replenished. So it's a good sign. But in any case, we had very few problems with that credit pool, the Skills Boost credit pool. So
yeah, if you are in the credit pool, that's good.
Yeah, everything worked fine for us.
People are put on there. But
And that credit pool extends for the duration of the program and maybe 1 month beyond, and then after that, people can drop back to become innovators, and they will get 35 credits per month free, as long as they want.
yeah, I think then it was maybe another RGDC where it wasn't credit pool, but just separate like credit.
Oh, no. I think more recently they've been doing the credit pools, and
Again,
that works really well.
That's good because
Yeah.
If I do again an RGDC, I want the students to not be able to do all of the.
Yeah, we had only like one person have trouble, and we got it sorted out right away with the Google support. So that was working really well for us.
Cool.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.